I look at mental health just like any other aspect of your life that has to be worked out. I think society has a tendency of not treating mental health, especially in our community. We have gone through and still experiencing a lot of trauma from our community, and we didn't get any, you know, therapy. And we're expected to act normal as like, a regular day.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety. And like, I think once I got familiar with it, it became like a bit easier, and it just felt good knowing that, it wasn't just like all in my head. Like there was a reason why I was feeling this way. I feel like for a really long time, my mom was very in denial of me having like depression or like anxiety. Like I feel like she just thought like, oh, it's in your head. And so like I became an adult and it became like way more serious, and it was hard for me to do certain things because of my mental health. And that's when I started actually going to like therapy and just being more outspoken about it, and even like getting her to take her mental health seriously as well.
We learn so much about our mental health from our parents. And so that's another reason why I think I shut down, because our parents like don't let us in that part. Like it's like they don't want to be seen as human, if that makes sense. And it's like your emotions are what makes you human. And so there's so much that's not being said. There's so much in that silence. So I think when I was a kid, I was really open. I'd watch a movie and I'd cry all the time. But as I got into my teenage years, like I learned through socialization that's like, oh, people don't like that. People are uncomfortable with big emotions. You have to hide that and you have to keep it to yourself. And so it was hard to like go back to how I was when I was a kid.
Everybody in my family honestly thought mental health would have been a problem for me because I was a loner. They would all be together having fun, and I would just be underneath my bed, just chilling by myself. I know that sounds weird, but like, they always wanted to make sure, that their kids were good, that they weren't going through anything. Yeah, it was some certain times where it seemed like, oh, my parents probably did not care, but that's just how I seen it. That's not necessarily how it was, but they definitely did try their best with us growing up to make sure that we're good mentally.
I grew up in a Christian household, and more so, it's very much, just pray about it. Yes, prayer, I'm an advocate for prayer and Jesus and all of that. But I also believe that, we have to be active participants in our healing. So prayer and sometimes therapy and sometimes medication. And right. So I believe that you have to participate in the healing that you want. And so that is one of the, the generational traumas. And I don't like to use the word traumas because I'm not sure if that's the correct word, but that is one of the things that I am trying to break and continuing to, break in my family lineage.
I have been blessed to have had powerful men in my life that monitored my mental health, starting with my father. My father was more of I'm going to show you how I live to create my mindset of who I am today, you know. So it wasn't so much of him telling me, but how he lived. A lot of my friends grew up without the presence of their father in their home. I knew who my father was, but that presence in the house kind of made a difference. And then there was some of my friends didn't even know their father. I have two sons. I instilled in them that it's important to have a mental exercise for yourself so that you're not going crazy. You know what I mean? So, I was a disciplinary mentally. I disciplined them mentally. I very rarely had to hit them because I knew it was a psychological game.
My mom kind of like just had herself since she was 17, and it was with me. So I feel like she never, like, I'm also Haitian, by the way. I don't really think they like acknowledge their mental health. Like, that's not really a thing that they focus on. They kind of look at it as like a form of weakness, or like you're weak minded or something. I feel like she never really had a chance to, when she was younger, to really like sit back and realize that the way she didn't have time, you know. She had to like just stay focused because she had me, and she was by herself. And it's so weird, like when I get old, like the older I get and I look at like how she grew up, I'm like, wow, like there's no way you're not like, you don't have like trauma, you're going through trauma. So like a lot of things that weeks a lot of I give her grace now, you know, instead of me just being like angry at her and not being able to understand like why she acts this way, or why she kind of like just emotionally unavailable. It's because that's just how she grew up, and she went through a lot that I don't think I can go through. So it's just like interesting looking at my mom from like a different perspective as far as like mental health, and just like realizing that she knows that now too.
We are more like friends than mother and daughter. And I think it's due to like trauma bonding. I mean, we love each other, but it's like we've been through so much together. Like my parents got divorced and it was me and her. She had custody of me. And, you know, the homelessness, it was me and her. And I never felt like I had to lie to her or hide from her. The downside of that is that I feel like a lot of times, and sometimes even now, I feel responsible for her emotional well-being. And I don't know, maybe that's just something I do with just people I care about in general, or just maybe because I'm just so close to her, and you know, she tells me things and I tell her things, and I know her personal issues with her family and her father, and it's like I I I feel like for some time now, maybe she didn't like herself, or I don't know, she felt guilty. Um, and I feel like I always try to love her out of that. And it's like you can't love someone into like loving themselves.
I don't like to talk about things a lot of the times um, pertaining to me and my mental health. What I think it is I feel that a lot of people want me to be strong. Um, so that does take a toll on me. I do think it's like something within me as well that's like, don't even like cry or show emotions, that kind of emotions. At least not anymore, I should say. In the past, that used to happen to me where I would hold things in until that one moment where I just explode. And it seemed like the only person that would know when I'm going through something is my mom. I can have a smile on my face. My tone is not any different than it would normally be. And she would look at me and just say, "Son, what's the problem? Are you okay?" And I would just start crying. My mom is my special person. So I feel like I can talk to her about everything. I just don't. Um, not I don't. My mom will never judge me, but again, I just when it comes to my mom, I cry and I don't want to. So, but it's amazing knowing that my mom knows when I'm not okay. She pays attention, even if I have the biggest smile on my face.
Relationships in whatever state they are, they're supposed to be reciprocal. Yes, you can always come to me for help or assistance, but I also need to know that I can kind of come to you, that I can not have a good day and I could be like, hey, I need some assistance. And I really think that's one of the things that I've actually learned recently. Right before the pandemic hit, my uncle had passed away. And my uncle was like my father. And so it was very unfortunate for me. I had never really gone through a huge death that kind of shook me and shook my family in that way. I began therapy also in 2020, but she was not one of the therapists to kind of like sweep things under the rug. We had to actually work through that. And while that was hard in itself because I had to recall memories and I had to sit and tell her about how, he affected my life and how he was ultimately my father. I think it really helped. I learned how to grieve, I think, during that time in 2020. It wasn't just, hey, move right along and work through it, even though I did work. It was also just simultaneously like making sure that I was okay, while I also made sure that my family was okay. If it was, before then, I would just move right along with my emotions and kind of make sure that my family was cool. And then once they were cool, I'd be like, okay, well, moving right along with life. But I really feel like in 2020, because of therapy, because of the fact that she just told me, like, we got to work through this because it's going to, eat you alive if you don't. I worked through it and I learned how to grieve.
I went to a program that allowed you to cleanse your past so that you can move forward. And whatever was traumatizing you, from the past, you had to bring it forward and address it. So if I was having issues with my father, we had exercise. I had to call my father that day. A lot of times people are holding stuff on from years ago in the present. And that was another exercises that they did was that happened in the past. But a lot of times the trauma of the past, we're still carrying it and it's projecting our future.
I feel like my biggest struggle, which is crazy, I feel like my biggest struggle is communication, although I love communication. The thing with me is I never really show like that there is something wrong. Again, I just smile through everything. So it just shows that, oh, okay, so he's fine. I do have some people that do reach out to me and ask me if I'm okay, even if I'm okay, family, friends, but not everyone. Some of the most important people don't even care to ask.
I feel like at one point I didn't know how to not be independent. I didn't know how to not just like not do things for myself. I feel like I always just had to. Like I always had to be like strong and keep it together. But it's just like sometimes, I want to be because everything's okay. Like ask me how I'm doing, ask me how I'm feeling. Because a lot of times we act like we're good, but we're not, We need a lending hand. We need some comforting words. Like if you need a break, you're tired, take that call out. Call out. Like take your mental health seriously. Feed your mind, your body, and your soul.
I have been just trying to cry. I've been trying to be in touch with my emotions. I've been trying to just ask for help when I need it. Because I've never been that girl. I've never asked for help. I've never really been in touch with my emotions. I kind of just always like covered it up and, moved on with my day. But as I'm healing, I embrace the fact that I am a person and that I can feel all the feels and still be a person. Like, I don't need to, again, beat myself up over, having emotions because we kind of all do. I'm breaking the strong Black woman trope because I hate it. I think our strength comes in the ability to be weak.
It's so hard to ask for help. It's so hard. Like when I told, people that I was getting on antidepressants, they were like, no, you shouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I've been raw dogging it for 25 years. Like I tried and I need help. This could help me. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to sometimes depend on a little pill. Like, and you may need it for the rest of your life. You may not. You never know unless you try. And you'll never get help unless you ask for help. Like, give yourself a chance. I feel like people will forgive their friends, will forgive their partners, will forgive their family before they forgive themselves. Healing is a lifetime. Healing takes a lifetime. Give yourself some time, bro.
If God called you, if I be it, would you get on your knees or get up and leave? If He answered your prayers, would you share His light or choose to hide? You stand and rise. It's a part of life. Things will get better.
We never have time to actually be human, and like when you're going through hell, keep going. You never know what's gonna happen in a year.
Find your people and reach out to your people as often as you need to. And if they are your actual people, they will be there.
Remember to give yourself grace. Go at your own pace and be your biggest rock star, your biggest supporter. That's definitely what I had to do. I had to just be all about me, like self-care, self-love. I was definitely missing that, and I just had to focus on myself.
Please ask me if I'm okay. Even if I am okay, just ask me if I'm okay. That would reassure me that you care. If I show emotion as a man, that doesn't make me weak. I will always, especially for like if I have a son, I'm gonna let him know, look, just because you are a male figure in this world, that doesn't mean you have to hide your emotions. Show all your emotions if you have to. Don't let that consume you.
I stay connected to positive people, positive information. I turned off the idiot box, what our parents used to call idiot box. Now, TV, now they have the computer, your iPhone. So the idiot box has extended to your phone, to your computer. If you turn that stuff off or if you do decide to watch it, have it on information that's going to enlighten you, that's going to elevate your consciousness, dealing with your internal voice. Because that internal voice is very loud. And some people are probably watching this and be like, what internal voice? That one. That one, you just ask yourself, right? Because we have two beings in us, which the one we feed is the one who's going to dominate.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Perfectionism is killing me. Need for comparison, stinging more than a killer bee. A high achiever with no time for seeking humility, but still so quick to quit if just one person ain't feeling me. Thought I free myself, but validation is still a need. I went and took a shroom to find my soul and then set it free for a better me. And insecurities end up being the centerpiece. Always cook the quick fix, never followed the recipe. Look inside the mirror, said meet on me, Poppy Ben Ucky. You gon' have to learn everything that you think is energy. Actually apply all the things that you learned in therapy. Thoughts become things and that self-love is the remedy. Perfection is subjective, the only one that you get to please is you. And things you accept is only what gets to be the truth. I struggle with empathy for myself and feelings too, and dealt with the penalty.